It's a nice, beautiful spring day, and here we are on the couch. We're gonna take a quick time travel forward into July and answer a quick question of what happens if you wait to repair or replace your AC in July versus doing it now. So let's talk about the real cost of waiting until July when it's 105 degrees outside versus doing it now in the beautiful springtime in Oklahoma. Here we go. So most videos, and we're guilty of this as well, right? Most videos talk about should you replace your air conditioner or should you not? Or should you choose to do it now or should you wait? And frankly, that kind of answers the wrong question. Whenever we're looking at do we decide to replace our equipment or do we decide to repair it, timing matters a lot in this as well, right? So it's like if you have time to do it in the spring, if you knew that like, hey, my system last year was struggling, I had a high ticket repair, I have a history of high ticket repairs, well then, you might need to think about the timing of replacement as well. Because as we go through the HVAC season in Oklahoma and really across the nation, the demand and the price follow the same bell curve a lot of times, right? So in spring, winter, whenever it's useless weather outside for your local HVAC guy, we're all just gluttons for punishment, really. We just need hot, miserable weather in order for us to make money. But whenever it's springtime, whenever it's winter, whenever it's fall, there's that bell curve. We're at the end of the bell curve there. Well, the cost is going to be associated with that as well because we need to make sure our team has work to do. So the cost is going to be a little bit less. We have more flexibility in our margin. We have more flexibility in our time, which means that we are able to then come down on price. But if you wait until June, July, August, and sometimes even September in Oklahoma, well, then the cost is going to be reflective of that demand because as calls come in, we only have so much viable labor capacity, only so many good technicians and good installers, and only so many hours in a day to complete this job. And the price has to reflect that because, it's haymaking season, to quote the old colloquial term. We got to make hay when the sun is out. But if you wait until June, July, or August, you might be paying a premium for that. But if you replace it now, because like I said, we took the time machine forward into July to talk about what it looks like. But we're sitting back here in the spring right now. Right now is the perfect time if you're talking about a major AC repair or a major AC replacement. Now is the perfect time to make it happen. And also too, like the AC emergency cost, that comes into a whole different calculator a lot of times, right? Because, so not at Yarbrough & Sons, not at Yarbrough & Sons. At some other companies in the area, you have emergency fees. And those emergency fees can sometimes be double, triple, or quadruple the amount that they would normally charge during their normal business hours. So say it's 8 o'clock at night, or say it's the Saturday afternoon and you got the family coming over and they're getting ready. Well, now there's an emergency service fee on top of the repairs to go along with it. So you're talking about one, there's a place and time to replace your equipment. And two, if your system fails when it otherwise could have been prevented by some preventative maintenance through a preventative maintenance contract or a membership agreement, well, now we're having to pay even more because there's the emergency breakdown rates that we have to factor in. And so that $200 repair or $300 repair now looks a whole lot more like $600 to $700 because, well, we have convenience fee, after hour surcharge, demand fee, all things like that. Again, not at Yarbrough & Sons, but at some other places. Take that as you will. Next, you also, if you wait until July, you lose 100% of your negotiating power. Because you are now at the will of Mother Nature itself. No longer is it in the hands of you and your HVAC contractor. Now it's 105 degrees outside when the sun is down because we live in a place where it's 100% humidity and 100 degrees somehow. It defies the laws of thermodynamics. I'm sure most of you across the nation agree. Somehow it's always hotter than you expect it to be. And guess what? Your place has the most unpredictable weather. Stay here a minute and it'll change. Don't care where you're from, but that's what'll happen. 2 minutes later, different weather. I think that's really just a play on, like places that don't have a whole lot going on, like no mountains and no beach, like Oklahoma. Like, we're great people. I think once you start talking about the people in a place, it's kind of indicative of like, the culture's good, but like we lack in hills and some things to look at. But that's besides the point. So whenever it comes to summertime, it is going to be hot, humid, and it is always going to be the most inconvenient time for your system to break down. And whenever it's the most inconvenient time for your system to break down, you are also going to be the most desperate to have it fixed, because it's 105 degrees outside, you have a kid in the house, you have a husband or a wife who can't sleep whenever it's warm, and I can't sleep when it's warm either. I prefer to be like a polar bear. I want to be nice and cozy under my blanket, nice and warm, but I want it to be a cool 68 degrees whenever I'm sleeping, or else I won't get my beauty rest, and I need my beauty rest. We need to make sure that you have negotiating leverage when it comes to how we're going to go about dealing with these emergency situations. And if you have a preventative maintenance agreement or a membership agreement, and somebody comes out in the spring and says, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, your capacitor looks like it's pitted. And what does that mean whenever your contactor's pitted? Well, there's gonna be some like black charring, almost burn mark looks on the contactor. It's like, hey, your capacitor is, bloated. Well, that means that the capacitor's gotten too hot, and too much amp draw has gone through it all at once, and it's kind of just expanded, made a little bubble, and it's now kind of looking like it's doing its best impression to become a metal balloon. And if your capacitor looks like it's trying to become a metal balloon, we have wrong and bad things happening in that system, and it's going to fail. It's not a matter of if, but when. And so during a preventative maintenance agreement or a membership visit, what you're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to catch that, or your preferred technician is going to be able to catch that and come to you and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this capacitor is failing. It's going to be $200 to replace. Would you like for me to go ahead and replace it now? Versus in the summertime, whenever it fails, because like I said, it's a matter of when, not if. Whenever it fails in July, and now it's super hot outside, that $200, $250 capacitor is going to look and feel a whole lot more like $350 to $400. Again, based on demand, based on the bell curve of how many techs we have out in the field, all of those supply chain things that we just discussed. So you lose 100% of your negotiating power by waiting until peak season. If you can plan ahead, plan accordingly, and decide to buy in the shoulder season, specifically right now, in the springtime, you're gonna mitigate some unnecessary costs and convenience fees that go along with it at other shops. Again, most of the time, all of our prices here at Yarbrough & Sons are fixed. We very much believe in the numbers change, the margins don't. If you're curious what we charge and why we charge, you can go to yarbroughsons.com/pricing and see a complete breakdown of like where the dollars and cents actually go. But most of the time, you're gonna lose 100% of your negotiating leverage because it's 105 degrees outside. We're desperate, it's hot. We want this thing fixed because we can't deal with it being hot inside of our house. Now, let's say it did break down in July. Let's say it did fail the most inconvenient time, and we're now looking at a repair bill that, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Why does it cost this much? And God forbid that now the part is 2 to 3 days out. And your local HVAC guy, they're gonna do the best they can. They're gonna, try to whip up some thermodynamic magic and make it happen. But a lot of times, sometimes the part is an original manufacturer piece of equipment. So it's an OEM part, meaning we have to order it from that manufacturer, and sometimes it is more than a day or two out. And so now we're talking about how do we make sure that somebody's comfortable in their house, or if you're not going to be able to be comfortable in your house, a lot of times we'll offer window units, but sometimes we run out of window units. I think right now we've got a stack of about 18 window units, and we try to go put those in when we can, but those get taken up pretty quickly. And so you're left with, do I go stay with friends? Do I go stay with some family? Do I have to go get a hotel? And if you have to go get a hotel, in OKC, you're talking, on a slow night, $150 a night. On, if the OKC Thunder make it to the finals again in June, we're talking probably $300 to $500. Go Thunder! I hope that that's what your hotel costs in June, because that means my Thunder have made it to the finals. But besides that, the math is, the dollars and cents are, if it fails during the summertime and you have to go get a hotel room, well, you're now talking about additional costs on top of that repair bill, just to make sure that you guys can, like me, get your beauty rest, get your desired sleep number. Make sure that your Oura Ring tells you that you had a good night. Make sure that your Whoop band tells you, hey, you're doing great, pal. You slept so good last night. You did better than most people at your sleep. Keep it up, champion. But the hotel math is a real factor to consider whenever you're talking about, should we repair this preemptively, or should we just wait until it fails? And I'm gonna be honest, if you wait until it fails, I'm sorry. However, you should have had a maintenance agreement. That maintenance agreement should have had a conversation of, hey, these things look bad. These things need to be replaced, so that we don't have a failure in the most inconvenient time whenever it's hot. And now, beyond the hotel math, right? So we have the hotel math, we have the emergency charge, all of that. Now, what we're gonna look at is the energy bill. So say we have this repair, it's happened, and our system is 12, 15 years old, and we're looking at what does this do to our utility bill? Well, here's what I know. Equipment today, even our baseline equipment today, is going to be more efficient than equipment that was installed 10 to 15 years ago, even if it was like a mid-level to high-end. There's some exceptions there where it's like if it was like a variable capacity system back then, it's probably still going to be a little bit more efficient than like entry-level stuff today. But by and large, for most people, a entry-level system today is going to be more efficient than whatever system they had put in 10 to 15 years ago. And so whenever you're looking at utility bill savings, and we talk about this all the time, mostly because I think that there's too much propagated on this, which is a lot of contractors will try to sell equipment based on how much you're going to save on your utility bill. And I don't love that. You should never buy an air conditioner because it's going to save you money on your utility bill, right? You should never do that. You should buy an air conditioner that fits your budget. And then if it saves you money on your utility bill, well then great. That's an outstanding byproduct of the situation. It's all like, hey, I'm going to buy this car because it saves me on gas. Like, okay, but did you need a new car? You know, it's kind of one of those situations. And ultimately though, if we're talking about, hey, we've crossed the bridge, we need a new system, and here's why we need it. Do the napkin math. You don't have to go for a variable capacity system to save money on your utility bill. A base entry system is going to be more efficient than one that was installed 10 to 15 years ago. And a lot of times we're seeing somewhere between 30 to 50% savings on utility bills for your air conditioning portion of the costs. Now, what I will say that I'm going to caveat this and say, I can save you as much money on your utility bills as you want if you let me control the thermostat. You just might not like the temperature that it's set at. But that's a different conversation. Sometimes we're not ready to have that conversation. Sometimes we want to keep a house 66 degrees whenever it's 104 degrees outside. I mean, good on you, but also like OEC is going to be cashing that check because you're really funding that college tuition fund for them, because that is a cold house and a very hot outdoors. But beyond that, whenever you have a conversation about utility bills, 1, a new system is going to save you money on utility bills. 2, don't buy a system just because it is going to save you money on utility bills. Let's cross the bridge whenever we need to and have a conversation about what system best fits you and why you may or may not want to go to variable capacity or standard efficiency equipment. But regardless of what you go with, it will save you money based on your old system, because your old system probably 10 to 15 years old, or 20 if you're living right, and you're going to save quite a bit of money on that utility bill. We're going to talk about like when the math starts to math towards replacing this piece of equipment in June, July, August, or preemptively now, because like I said, we're in May. We're in the latter part of springtime. It's going to start feeling like summer here pretty quick, but we've still got flexibility in our schedule. And when you should consider replacing that piece of equipment, and that is, 1, if you had a major failure last year, I would say probably consider it. But 2, if your system is nearing that 12-year to 15-year mark, or even if it's like old enough to vote, that's when the math starts mathing and telling us, hey, we probably need to replace this piece of equipment. Replacing it today is always going to be cheaper than replacing it next year. See our video as to why equipment has like skyrocketed in the last 3 or 4 years. We have a lot of things to thank for that. But whenever it comes to the age of your system, a lot of times we think an air conditioner, I jokingly say this a lot of times, which is an air conditioner and a water heater are not sexy. They're not granite countertops. They're not a newly renovated shower. It's not something that you're going to go, stand by and show your neighbors whenever they come by to drop off the lemon bars to welcome in summer. It's not that thing. It's not going to be like, oh, look at this Lennox condenser I've got, or this American Standard condenser we got. Holy cow. Let me tell you about the spine fin coils on this bad boy. Now, hold on, take a breath. My air conditioning technicians that are in the video with me right now. We do this. I'm with you. I'm going to go out and be like, listen to how quiet this inverter system is. Nobody else is doing that. Okay, back to the homeowners. Because air conditioning and water heaters aren't sexy, they're not the granite countertop, they're not the renovated shower, we want them to last as long as possible, and frankly, we want them to be like the good old days in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s when equipment was manufactured different. It was built different back then, and it was built different because the efficiency standards were a little bit different, but we don't want to have a conversation about that because those things were not efficient. But boy, oh boy, they were like an old diesel engine. Like you could pour canola oil in those things and they would run. That's how those old pieces of equipment were manufactured. They would last 20, 30 years, 40 years sometimes. Heck, we just worked on one from 1961. I can't even tell you what refrigerant was in that thing. It was still running somehow. Also, they kept the house at like 80 degrees. So it was a little old couple. They're super sweet. They don't need air conditioning apparently. I would die in an 80-degree house. Beyond that, whenever we talk about replacing your equipment though, because it's not something that's top of mind and we might not want to replace it, whenever we have to sit down and have that conversation, a lot of times people haven't prepared for that conversation because it's not something we think about replacing all the time. It's, the offensive line of the home. It just works until it doesn't. Nobody notices a good offensive line. People only notice bad ones, and when they allow a sack. Whenever your air conditioner fails, let me guess, it's Ray Lewis jumping from the top rope, just absolutely doming you. You've now got CTE because it's too hot in your house and you can't handle it. Whenever your system hits that 12 to 18 year mark, somewhere in that window, you should really start thinking about replacing your system, because you're not going to live on grace for forever, right? You're not going to be able to get by forever without replacing a system. Now, the good news is for homeowners, most people only ever buy 2.5 air conditioners in their life. So that is good news. So if you're having to bite the bullet this summer and it's your first one, guess what? You probably only have 1 to 1.5 more in your lifetime. So congratulations, you're halfway. You're playing second half ball as soon as you buy the one, because the math is that people move every 7 years, and there's a whole calculus that goes into how people buy air conditioners. But you're playing second half ball as a homeowner if you have to buy that first air conditioner. You only probably gonna have to buy one more. And once that system hits that 15-year mark, somewhere in there, we'll call it 15 as a cool even number, but 12 to 18, you really need to start considering replacing the system, because we're going to start having catastrophic failures. It's out of warranty. It's going to start costing more in utility bills. And as it starts to cost more in utility bills, new equipment, like we just talked about, is always going to be more efficient than the old equipment, pretty much no matter what line or level of equipment it was. So whenever you have a call happen in the middle of summer, right? You're going to call around to tons of people, and you're going to try to find somebody who can get you in right now. And I get it. Like, you want to make sure that somebody can get you in right now. And really and truly, if it's June, July, August, September, like, you're going to be, trying to bounce around, find somebody who can make that happen, which is where it's May. It's May right now. We have time. Pump the brakes. Don't get panicked. Don't let the blood pressure boil too much. We have time. If we're not certain if your air conditioner is going to make it through summertime, call a company that you like, know, and trust. Call someone who you know that they are who they say they are. They have the receipts to back it up. They have a history in business, all of that. Call somebody who you can verify that they are who they say they are. And tell them straight up. Say, hey, I'm not sure if my air conditioner is going to make it through the summertime. I would like to have somebody come by and do a maintenance visit and just a system check. For us, if you sign up for our maintenance agreement, it's $300 a year. You get a AC tune-up and a heater tune-up, and you get a 20% discount on any repairs that need to be made on your HVAC or your plumbing. Also, you get a free water heater flush alongside that, so it's free, complimentary, included. It's kind of like going to an all-inclusive resort, right? You just don't know. It's all free. It's like swiping a credit card, Disney Fast Pass. But you get a maintenance visit, and you can make sure that your system is ready for the heat that's coming, because as soon as the lows start to look more like the 80s, 82, 83, well, now your air conditioner is not going to get a break. It is going to constantly be running, and when it's constantly running, we put the equivalent of 300,000 miles on an air conditioner every year in Oklahoma. Can you imagine putting that many miles on your car in a year? Absolutely not. And we expect our air conditioners to do it with no oil change. Good on us, America. But we need to make sure that your system is tuned up and ready to go for the summertime. So the May window that we have right now, companies still have capacity. Companies still need to fill their board because the weather right now is beautiful. It's like 70 degrees outside. And whenever we look at how do we, one, make sure that our team is productive, and two, make sure that our customers are taken care of, right now is when we are servicing our maintenance agreement customers. Our maintenance agreement customers are getting that first call. They're getting first priority to make sure that their system is ready to go for summertime. So whenever you look at how do I decide to make a call, if nothing's wrong, am I just inviting a fox to watch the hen house? Absolutely not. Now, it depends on the company you call. With us, absolutely not. What's going to happen? Give you like a quick breakdown. If you say, hey, I want a maintenance visit from you guys, or I want to make sure that my system is capable of running all summer long, we're going to say, great, we're going to send a maintenance technician out to your house. What we're going to do is we're going to go over the system thoroughly. We're going to clean the condenser. We're going to change the filter. We're also going to look at the blower wheel. If it's dirty, we're going to recommend cleaning it. But before we do anything, I want you to know, this is what the technician would say, is before we do anything, I'm going to find a list of things that could help improve the efficiency or help improve the life of your system. I'll bring those to you, and you'll be able to yes or no all of these items. Does that sound fair enough? You're in the driver's seat. We're not going hunting for anything. We're not going to say this has to happen or else. But what we are going to say is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this contactor's pitted, or this capacitor looks out of line, or this blower wheel is really caked up and it needs to be cleaned, or because the filter was dirty, the evaporator coil is really dirty, and whenever it starts running a lot, that's going to cause the coil to potentially freeze, and then we're going to be without air conditioning on the hottest day of the year. That's what's gonna happen. So don't feel like you're inviting the fox to watch the hen house. Really what we're doing, especially whenever you choose to go with us, is we're gonna send a technician out. We're gonna get eyes on the system. We're gonna actually do something. This isn't a pat the system on the butt and like, oh, yep, it's good to go and here's a repair list. No, we're gonna clean the condenser. We're gonna make sure that things are actually done to prevent breakdowns, and then recommend further how we could prevent breakdowns by bringing the system up to manufacturer specs. And the repair Band-Aid is something that a lot of times happen in the middle of summer, and what we want to prevent in the springtime, in May, before it gets real hot. And the Band-Aid fix is what I mean is like, you know what I'm talking about. We've all been like, working on something at the house, and we do the best with what we got. And somehow that ends up with like a drawer being held together by a hair tie and a rubber band. I'm not saying I currently have that happening, but I definitely have that happening in my closet. Send help. But we've done the Band-Aid fix. It's like you've done this thing where it's like, it'll get us through for a while. And a Band-Aid fix is well and good. We've done them as well to get people cooling until we're able to replace it or wait on a manufacturer's, to send us an OEM part. But what happens is the trap with a Band-Aid is it provides immediate relief. Whenever it provides immediate relief, we very quickly forget the dire situation that we might be in with our system failing. And so that Band-Aid fix, though it's working now, is not a permanent solution. And whenever it's not a permanent solution, we can't guarantee how long it's gonna last. We can't guarantee the life that it's going to have after that repair is made. And ultimately, we wanna make sure that we don't have something else fail because we've Band-Aided the system together and are now, trying to get this situation rectified. So the Band-Aid solution is not a permanent one, but because it's now providing us some relief, some cooling, a lot of times we'll have people, sometimes, not you, because you're a pro homeowner. If you're watching this, if you're this deep in the video, you're with me. You got this. But a lot of times we'll have a homeowner potentially cancel their next follow-up visit to actually fix the situation outright and make sure that their system is ready to rock and roll. So avoid the Band-Aid fix if you can. And let's be honest, there are warning signs. Your air conditioner, more often than not, isn't just gonna like self-destruct, right? It's not gonna just decide one day to just detonate, just yeet itself off the ledge and like, I no longer work. Most of the time. Sometimes that happens, but like most of the time there's gonna be warning signs. And the warning signs are like, it's kind of like a doctor, right? This is like, there's warning signs of like blood pressure, there's warning signs for those things. I'm not gonna go too much deeper into that because I'm not a medical professional. If you think you have things going on, consult a medical professional. But if you have an air conditioner that you're thinking, I don't know if this thing's gonna live much longer, happy to call us. We'd be happy to come help. We are your air conditioner's doctor. That's who we are. And if your air conditioner is on the verge of dying, there's signs, right? There's signs in the way that airflow feels coming out of a vent. Maybe it's not as cold as it used to be, or maybe the airflow isn't as strong as it used to be, or maybe it's not making enough noise, or maybe it's making entirely too much noise. It's got the shake, rattle, and roll happening. Or maybe, it's kind of delayed in like how quickly it responds to temperature changes in the house. Like you're like, oh my gosh, it's like 75 degrees in here. And the thermostat says it's on, but nothing's running. And then all of a sudden now it's running and I don't know why, but because it came on, we're just gonna ignore that problem, kick it down the road, and that'll be a 40-year-old Tucker problem, not a 30-year-old Tucker problem if we're living right. Don't be that guy. Or if you go outside and your air conditioner is like squealing, like if you just hear this like whining noise, bad news bears, something's going on. We either have bearings going out on the fan motor, or worse yet, the compressor might be having, basically the equivalent of a seizure. So call somebody quickly on that one. Or if you're standing by the condenser and you hear just like this click, 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 click. That is the contactor, and the contactor is getting intermittent voltage, and sometimes either there's a pitting issue going on where the contacts aren't able to make and maintain permanent current connection, or we have like, ants love low voltage for some reason. And so like maybe there's a bunch of ants trapped inside of that contactor just actively just getting fried. I mean, it's just like a toaster situation. Or if we go outside and nothing's happening and the indoor unit is running and the outdoor unit isn't running, but the indoor unit says it's cooling, well, that means we've probably lost connection somewhere. Either we've lost a high voltage leg, we've blown a fuse, we have a contactor dead, we have a capacitor dead, any one of those things, or if we hear some rattling, shaking, some, basically if it just sounds like a bad car when you're standing by your condenser or your heat pump, call somebody, because it is gonna fail. And also your neighbors will probably thank you because they probably hear it more than you do inside your house. So if your air conditioner is making a bunch of noise, call someone. They can help. There's a hotline for that. They'll send somebody to your house. They'll make sure that it's fixed up right. We will make sure that it's fixed up right. And then, of course, we talk about finally the replacement. What's the replacement math? And right now in 2026, what we are seeing is replacements ranging somewhere between $10,000 and $16,000, just depending on the system, the efficiency, what size you have, what ductwork issues are needed to be rectified, things like that. $10,000 to $16,000. And the good news is right now we have offers that we can do financing for 72 months for 0%, and you're going to be able to make your money last longer. In a world of high inflation, 0% offers for 6 years sound like a bargain. So we've fought like hell to make sure that our financing partners are offering and making sure that they're ponying up good deals for homeowners so that we can offer as low of a rate, as low of a payment as we possibly can. So that replacement is looking like $10,000 to $16,000, again, just depending on how much equipment rectification we need to make happen. Line sets, ductwork for airflow. We got there eventually. And guys, let's be honest. It's May. You still have time to make a decision. You still have time to rectify a wrong that might be happening in your system. You still have time to make sure that when July 4th comes and the family's coming over and Nana has brought her coleslaw. Why did Nana bring coleslaw? I hate coleslaw. It's garbage food. Nobody gets coleslaw at Cane's. Even the CEO doesn't get it. He gets the extra toast. But Nana has brought her coleslaw and it's firework watching time, baby. And now the air conditioner's out and Nana is judging you. And Nana doesn't hold opinions to herself anymore because she's reached the age where she just frankly doesn't care. So she sets the coleslaw down and she's mad because the Jell-O salad is now hot and it's soupy, because it's hot in your house because you, Mr. Pro Homeowner, didn't make sure that your air conditioner was fixed before the summertime. But guess what? That's a July problem. We're in the teleporter. We're in the time machine. We can go back to the future, get back to right now, to the present, and make a decision to call somebody, make sure that you get your preventative maintenance scheduled before the heat arrives, before something fails, before Nana is trashing you because she brought her best coleslaw and you're not a good 4th of July host. Let's get this thing fixed. Let's get this thing looked at, make sure that preventative maintenance is done, and make sure that your system is ready and ponied up for the whole summer. And if you're curious, say something did fail. Say you are now watching this in July and something broke and we need it fixed now. Well, if you're curious what it's going to cost, you can scan the QR code up here or click the link down in the description to get an online estimate in just a couple of minutes. Just ask for your name, number, address. You can get it, I think like speed running, you can get it done in like 3 minutes. Quick and easy. And there's no commitment, guys. Like, we're going to send you one follow-up text who's like, hey, we'd love to have a technician come out. But that's it. So if you're curious, scan the QR code, click the link down below, and we'd be happy to make sure that your home is ready to rock and roll all summer long. And beyond that, guys, do something nice for somebody. You never know. It might change your life. Eyes up, feet moving. I'm out.